Coming up next on This Week in Torrance, we're taking a look at some very important people here in the South Bay. We'll tell you about volunteers who help keep the city beautiful. Then you'll meet some educators who go beyond traditional teaching. And we'll introduce you to some true American heroes. These stories and much more are just seconds away. This is a VIP edition of This Week in Torrance. Hello everyone and welcome to This Week in Torrance. I'm Ben McCain. Today we're going to look at some of the compelling people who have made the first half of this year so special. Our first VIPs are Torrance volunteers. Now, if you didn't know it already, the city has an official flower. Reporter Ella Sagamonian tells us why some volunteers helped plant them in front of City Hall.
Volunteers braved the spring showers as they dug and planted 50 delphinium flowers on a recent Saturday morning.
We're planting delphiniums, which is the city flower of the city of Torrance, a celebration of the 100-year anniversary of Torrance.
Delphiniums became the city flower since they were the favorite of city founder Jared Sidney Torrance's second wife, Helena Childs.
It's because she liked the flower, and at one time, long ago in the history of Torrance, we did have a lot of seed here, and we used to export delphinium seed all over the country, so a lot of people are not aware of that. You know, we were very rural at one time.
The notion to plant the flowers in celebration of the centennial came from the local Rotary Club.
I'm here in the liquid sunshine, and I'm actually not here today as a councilman. I'm here as a Rotarian. This is a Rotarian project. Everybody wonders what Rotary does. This is just one of many.
Rotary means a lot to me. Rotary is in my heart. It's in my blood. And to do this, to come out on a rainy day, I wouldn't do it for anything else but Rotary and Torrance.
The Rotarians got their hands dirty, literally, by carefully picking and spreading the roots before placing the flowers in the moist soil. Thanks to their hard work, waves of lavender and light blue delphiniums now grace the entrance of City Hall. For Torrance CitiCABLE, I'm Ella Sagamonian.
Thank you, Ella. Delphiniums get their name from the Greek word meaning dolphin. The flower is said to resemble the animal's bottle-like nose. And speaking of planting, the country celebrated the first Arbor Day more than 100 years ago. On that day in 1872, 1,000 trees were planted nationwide. Now with Torrance's birthday, the centennial is a great reason to plant trees in city parks. Reporter J.Z. Jeans explains.
Volunteers and city officials joined the Torrance Centennial Committee, helping to kick off the first of many citywide tree plantings. Mayor Frank Scotto helped to dig and plant the first magnolia tree.
Everybody should celebrate Arbor Day, and I'm really happy that Torrance makes this a very big part of their celebration in their year.
Trees were donated by a local nursery. This ongoing celebration includes planting at least one new tree in every city park. Residents were at the park supporting this earth-friendly event, which also has another purpose.
April not only was Arbor Day, but it was also a City Beautification Month. We had, actually today there are several parks being cleaned by local groups, and throughout the whole month of April we're cleaning parks as well.
For This Week in Torrance, I'm J.Z. Jeans.
Thank you, J.Z. For more information on Centennial events, visit torrancecentennial.org. A special group of volunteers has teamed up with a nonprofit, and the result is happiness in the form of a hat. Reporter Ella Sagamonian explains.
This may look like a costume shop, but there's more to the hat than meets the eye. I'm here today at Happy Hats with Tim, Patrick, and Daniela, who are volunteers of the Easter Seal program and are actually responsible for putting smiles on thousands of kids' faces across Southern California. These 3 Easter Seals volunteers are mentally handicapped adults who come twice a week to Happy Hats. They press and package hero hats that are later distributed to children fighting cancer at 38 South Bay hospitals.
Every little child in the hospital is a little hero because they're very courageous and brave going through all the procedures that they go through in the hospital.
Hero hats have been bringing comfort and joy into hospital rooms since 1991.
It was just such a success, and all these kids had cancer, and they were having so much fun with the hats, and they were putting them on each other and on and off, and it was so adorable. And I said, you know, I think we have something here. We got to continue on. So from there, we have given 750,000 hats out to children and their families and the medical staff.
Happy Hats organization not only helps children in hospitals, but also provides an active role to the Easter Seals.
They want to feel also that they can also, what do you call this, they can practice or they can be involved in the society, in the community.
It is just absolutely adorable, and they laugh and they have such a great time. It's also very good for their motion skills when they're pressing the hats.
Along with the Hero Hat, the Easter Seals package a bilingual workbook including both English and Spanish.
It's 60 pages, and there's lots and lots of jokes and coloring pages and stimulating activities for both the parents and the children to interact together. And that's what I want. I want them to take their minds off of their discomfort.
For This Week in Torrance, I'm Ella Sogomonian.
Thanks, Ella. Happy Hats welcomes the Easter Seals every week. Hero packages are given to kids in the cancer ward and to those in the emergency room. For more information, visit happyhatsforkids.org. Coming up, we'll look at how educators of all kinds helped inspire kids and adults alike.
At what age is the color that your skin was meant to be no longer beautiful? Every year, millions of young women try to change the skin they were born with and say they'd die for darker skin. Sadly, some actually do. Melanoma is the second most common cancer in teens and young adults 15 to 20. A person dies from melanoma every hour. It's time. Change your thinking, not your skin. Stop tanning. Learn more at spotskincancer.org. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
If you could see anything in the world, what would it be? I'd love to see Paris.
I like to see cupcakes falling from the sky.
To save your vision in the years ahead, call your eye doctor for a comprehensive eye exam today. Then call 1-800-437-2423 or log on to seeabettertomorrow.org to learn about glaucoma and macular degeneration.
I just want to see more of the things I love.
Now on to educators who have made an impact this year, starting at Madrona Marsh. We all may know how important Madrona Marsh is, a natural resource, but most of us may not know why the marsh's ongoing restoration is a necessity. Reporter Maudette Lewis explains why so much of it is for the birds.
Tour de Torrance is designed to keep track of what birds are occurring in the South Bay area through migration, residential, or breeding efforts. There are currently 12 to 15 breeders here at the marsh, making for a phenomenal year. Manager and naturalist Tracy Drake says this verifies that the restoration is working and that they're creating a habitat that is conducive for successful breeding in birds.
We've done restoration out here for the last 10 years or so, and that restoration is the removal of non-natives and the introduction of native plants into the habitat. Those natives draw in insects or things that the birds might be interested in eating, so it enhances the habitat.
Tour guide David Moody has been leading the tours for several years and has played a huge role in eradication of non-native plants. During our walk, he spotted a Brazilian black pepper tree sprouting and immediately pulled it. He says non-native trees and plants can take over those that are more conducive for bird occurrences.
It would come on in and it would outcompete some of these willows and some of these sunflowers. So we have to kind of get ahead of the curve on some of these non-natives.
If you're a bird lover, this is a great place to come see cliff swallows, mallards, American goldfinches, and red-tailed hawks who breed in tall eucalyptus trees like the one behind me. Michael Lowry is a wildlife biology and conservation major at Humboldt State University. He is taking the tour to hone his birding skills and gain experience he can add to his resume. This morning, Lowry had a head start and spotted some of his favorite birds.
My favorite birds are the red-winged blackbirds. I already saw like 50 of those out there, and those are like the coolest things. So right now I'm set, but if I find anything that I haven't seen yet, that's always a plus.
Leslie Bach is a nature lover. Now retired, she made a commitment to become a part of preserving Madrona Marsh.
I just love being here, and I think it's just such an integral part of the South Bay community.
For This Week in Torrance, I'm Maudette Lewis.
Thank you, Maudette. The Tour de Torrance is held every first, third, and fifth Tuesday of the month. For more information, visit friendsofmadronamarsh.com. Students at Magruder Middle School had a chance to meet someone most people only read about in science books, an astronaut. From that meeting, reporter T.K. Trinidad tells us how these students learned that reaching for the stars is possible.
Houston now controlling. Houston shuttle, roll program. Roger, roll maneuver.
Students were leaning forward and hanging on to his every word. Dr. Bernard Harris, the first black astronaut to walk in space, is on a new mission to inspire kids. He wants them to consider science, technology, engineering, and math, also known as STEM, as a career.
Dream Tour program is all about STEM, science, technology, and mathematics, because we're in the 21st century where technology drives everything that we do. So it's important that the kids are educated in those fields.
Along with the Dream Tour, the I-League program at Magruder Middle School encourages students who don't see college as an option now as a viable choice.
The I-League program helped me to get more how to get into college and how to prepare to actually learn how to get in.
Students like Perla Gonzalez, who wasn't doing well in school last year, is improving because of the I-League program, and now she dreams of becoming an architect.
My grades have gone up a lot because I wasn't trying so hard, but then now I am, because I realized because of this program that school is one of the most important things that there is, and your education is extremely important.
Along with inspiring kids, Dr. Harris told us the most interesting questions students ask.
It really comes in three questions, so I can put it that way. The first question deals with what it's like. The second question deals with aliens. Everybody, for some reason, is just enamored with the idea that there's life out there. The third question deals with life up there. You know, how do you eat? How do you go to the bathroom?
Magruder principal Michael Voigt believes that the Dream Tour and the I-League program are the best ways for kids to see beyond today.
College is an option for everyone, and I think the first steps are creating those goals or creating those visions or dreams that they have.
Dr. Harris says that there is a huge benefit in pursuing a STEM career.
It's important that they go to college, that they get some type of education. And if they go to college in one of the STEM fields, they actually will get paid more than they would otherwise.
Dr. Bernard Harris has been with the Dream Team since 2008 and has had an impact on more than 60,000 students worldwide, encouraging them to pursue their dreams despite any adversity. For This Week in Torrance, I'm TK Trinidad.
Thank you, TK. The Dream Tour is sponsored by ExxonMobil. For more information, visit daringthe2dream.org. Well, the Triangle Coalition is a nonprofit organization that works on improving STEM education in public schools. They also offer fellowships to educators who can help draft education legislation. And one of their newest fellows is from Torrance. Reporter Ellis Agamonian has this story.
Each year, educators face challenging circumstances and even feel the need to defend their skills. But today we meet one Torrance teacher who not only has been recognized, but has a chance to make a change.
But sensing the contrast in the reflectance between the dark carpet and the white of the masking tape.
I don't see him really as a scientist in a stuffy sense. He's kind of the pop culture scientist.
Birtland Middle School teacher Kevin Tambara engages students with his interactive robotics club.
Science is not dry, or at least it shouldn't be. If you do hands-on stuff like this, it's not dry, it's exciting. And these aren't just toys, these are actually the way of the future. In fact, the future is now. And these kids right here are going to be the scientists and the robotics experts of the future.
Mr. Tambara's unique approach and enthusiasm have placed him among 12 science teachers from across the nation that have been accepted into the Albert Einstein Distinguished Educator Fellowship Program.
All modesty aside, I think they like my background, because before I was a teacher, I've been a teacher for 11 years now. Before I was a teacher, I was an engineer.
Mr. Tambara's engineering background fuels his hands-on teaching techniques so that students set books aside and bring science to life.
What I try to do is bring that experience, bring those stories into the classroom, and excite the students that, again, science is not from a textbook. Science is real. Engineering is real. And even more importantly, engineering can take you places.
The STEM community represents science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and is dedicated to improving American education in these fields. It is up to educators like Mr. Tambara, who are sent to Washington, D.C., to enlighten congressmen on issues seen firsthand and to make improvements. With this opportunity to make a change, Mr. Tambara is facing his most challenging question to date.
What would you want to do for a year if you could make your mark on the STEM community? And they said that's what you'll be doing, and so it's a totally open book.
Mr. Tambara has already left his mark by inspiring his robotics class students.
I kind of want to be like a biologist or like an engineer or something, and yeah, this has really motivated me to do that.
If I had a worse teacher than Mr. Tambara, I would have not been the same, had the same motivation to be some sort of a scientist or engineer that he has given me. He's really inspired me to show me that I can do so much to, I guess, help my community.
The school has ensured that Mr. Tambara's strong bond with his students will not be broken by his year-long stay in D.C.
Because even though he leaves, he Skypes back in, or he keeps in touch with the students. He has a real connection with them. And so he's done blogs, and he'll talk about just a little entry about what he did during the day, and students will ask him questions or talk back on that blog.
For Torrance City Cable, I'm Ella Sogomonian.
Thanks, Ella. Kevin Tambara will relocate to Washington, D.C. for a year. Tambara will use his teaching knowledge to work alongside government officials and fellow science teachers to contribute to new programs. For more information, visit trianglecoalition.org. After the break, we'll introduce you to some true American heroes.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That moment?
It was a moment that changed my life. I'd been training with my team for months, and now we had been called up for the first time. The real deal. Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Winston, just one more inning, Grandma.
Ever notice how many things today kids can do without actually moving? A whole lot of things their parents used to do the hard way. So many kids' activities today seem to leave out the activity part, which makes exercise even more important for children. In fact, new research tells us the best time to enhance bone development is during childhood and adolescence. And just getting children to walk an extra 35 minutes a day could spare them the pain of thinning bones later in life. Healthy bones come from healthy habits. Encourage your kids to get up, get out, and get moving.
Hello. Hey, Grandma, how about another grape soda?
A public service message on building strong bones for kids from the Pediatric Orthopedic Society of North America and the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons.
Most of us learn about history through books, movies, or television, but a lucky few recently got to touch a piece of history right here in Torrance. Reporter Jacqueline Shepard takes us on a trip aboard the Flying Fortress and meets a man who helped make history.
You are looking at the most modern aircraft in U.S. history. At least it was during World War II. Between 1935 and 1945, more than 12,000 B-17 bombers were produced. Today, less than 100 are capable of flying. Those that are require a little TLC before taking to the skies.
We turn them through because the radial engines, the oil tends to drain to the bottom cylinders, and you can't compress a liquid. So if you try and start the engine with oil in the lower cylinders, or any cylinder, you can break a rod, break a piston. Very bad for the engine. So we turn them through by hand to make sure they're clear.
With its heavy armor and 13 machine guns, the B-17 was designed to withstand heavy combat. Fighter teams who completed 35 missions could leave the war and return home. But with only 10% of soldiers reaching that number, retired pilot Jim White says the joy of flying was often overshadowed by fear.
The fun of it flying and the sheer terror also of being shot at because you couldn't see the shells coming up. If there was a fighter plane, you could see it. But the anti-aircraft, you could not see it until it exploded.
White did not complete the 35 missions, but was sent home after an unfortunate accident.
On our 18th mission, which was Christmas Eve of 1944, we crashed on takeoff. We were airborne but couldn't clear the trees at the end of the runway and went in at 125 miles an hour. Two of the boys were killed and I was injured pretty bad. So that was the end of the war for me. They brought me home in April of '45.
Stepping onto this plane is like taking a step back in time. It's a piece of history rarely seen by most, and it pays tribute to those who sacrificed their lives for our freedom.
There probably will never be, I hope there will never be another world war, and you just will never have massive groups of airplanes in the air.
Well, you know, I'm ex-military, and means a lot to me. All the fellows that sacrificed so much for us, and to be able to fly this airplane, which really is a tribute to them, is a very fulfilling thing.
The B-17 will visit cities throughout the country, and organizers hope the plane will not only remind us of our history, but also spark some new interest.
We've gone kind of through some phases in this country, and I think we're seeing a resurgence of young people coming back to aviation. Sure hope so, anyway.
I enjoy seeing the airplane, and I get a free ride in it and all that, so that's worthwhile. And if I can entertain some people and give them some information that they're curious about, that's great.
For Torrance City Cable, I'm Jacqueline Shepard.
Thank you, Jacqueline. The EAA is an aviation association that helps restore B-17 bombers and share them with enthusiasts nationwide. For more information, visit b17.org. Well, the city recently announced the Hometown Heroes program. The program honors service members not just from the past, but also those who are currently serving. Reporter T.J. Trinidad has this story.
It all started with an idea 1 year ago. 19-year-old Jonathan is a Marine, and his mother, Veronica Concetti, noticed that some cities have a banner program to honor military personnel. She felt the city of Torrance should have one too. The Hometown Heroes program recognizes men and women in the armed forces with patriotic banners that include their name, picture, and branch they serve in.
Whether they're alive or they're non-active or whatever, they have the right to be recognized, not just when something happens.
Former South Torrance quarterback Jonathan Concetti joined the Marines with his best friend Eric Rosenthal. Eric's father, Victor Rosenthal, was proud when he heard the news, and now he and his wife are both big supporters of the Hometown Heroes program as well.
We were at the gym one day, he and I were playing a little hoop, and he just looked at me and he said, "Dad, I have something to tell you, and I'm going to join the Marine Corps." And first thing I did was I just gave him a big hug and told him how proud I am of him, and wished him luck.
And we just think it's a wonderful idea to honor our past, present, and encourage future children that might want to go that way.
With Veronica Concetti's determination, the Hometown Hero banner project is now a reality.
We did some research, looked at what other cities are doing, and we're able to really create a program unique to Torrance.
The Concettis and Rosenthals encourage other families to support the program.
When people drive down the street and they see these boys up on these banners, it's nice that they're reminded that these local boys are serving overseas and in the military.
It's a good thing. I know they have to buy them and I know they have to spend money, but they're worth every penny.
I'm very grateful, for, to the city and Aaron and Dominica about, the program that she started, because, we believe me, she can't stop until she completes her mission. But it's just incredible. Just try to honor not only my son, and all the other members of the armed forces. It's just unbelievable.
In April, the City of Torrance approved the Hometown Heroes program. It costs $220 to purchase a banner, and as soon as they get 20 approved applications, the banners will line Torrance Boulevard from Crenshaw to Madrona. For This Week in Torrance, I'm TK Trinidad.
Thank you, TK. For more information on the Hometown Heroes banner program, visit the city manager's webpage on the city's website at torranceca.gov. And finally, one of the last surviving Tuskegee Airmen was honored during a recent city council meeting. Reporter J.Z. Jeans had the opportunity to learn from this living hero.
In 1942, Walter Crenshaw decided to join the U.S. Army Air Forces. He trained at a small facility for African Americans in rural Tuskegee, Alabama. At the time, he had no idea how historically important his role would be. Crenshaw served as a sergeant in the Air Group's administration offices.
I had a hand in the operation of the cadets, and I'm proud of that. Very proud of that.
When Crenshaw joined the USAAF, he wasn't trying to break barriers and make history. He simply wanted to have a career in the Army like many young men at that time.
Most of them were fresh out of college, raring to go, hot in the head.
The Tuskegee Airmen were trained in overcrowded classrooms and airstrips. They were treated like second-class citizens, facing racial discrimination from within and outside of the Army. But through all this, they never lost their resolve to defend the country that they called home. It wasn't easy to be a Tuskegee Airman. These men had to undergo rigorous training and perform at their highest levels, not to mention risk their lives on enemy lines, all while enduring discrimination on a regular basis.
Couldn't tell them we were just as good as you. They showed them that they were just as good as you, and better in a lot of instances.
This week, the City of Torrance presented Crenshaw with a replica of the Congressional Gold Medal. He wasn't able to make the 2007 presentation in Washington, D.C. by then-President George W. Bush. The medal honors the accomplishments and highlights the history of the Tuskegee Airmen. Though Crenshaw humbly accepts credit for the difference he's made for African Americans today, just one thought comes to mind when he thinks of how far he's come.
Look at me now. I wish my mother could see this. That's all I got to say.
For This Week in Torrance, I'm J.Z. Jeans.
Thank you, J.Z. What a great story. Nearly 1,000 Tuskegee Airmen earned their wings and officer commissions during World War II. The Congressional Gold Medal the airmen collectively received in 2007 is currently on display at the Smithsonian, and the airfield where the airmen trained is now the Tuskegee Airmen National Historic Site. To see the City Council meeting where Walter Crenshaw is honored, visit the city's website at torranceca.gov. That's going to do it for us on This Week in Torrance. I'm Ben McCain. If you've missed any portion of our show, you can catch us again at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.